Happy birthday. No, it's not my birthday, but today we're celebrating yours, or at least the key milestones that make birthdays so important. Sure, when you're a kid, it's all about cakes, presents, staying up past your bedtime. But as we age, birthdays take on a new kind of significance. They become markers for more than just blowing out candles. They're financial milestones with serious implications for your future. Did you know that there are birthdays that could cost you big time if you ignore them? I'm talking about financial milestones that sneak up on us. Age 50, 55, 59 and a half, 62, 65, 66, 67, 70, 70 and a half, 73. There's a whole bunch of ages we got to be really aware of. Missing these key birthdays could leave our retirement plan, let's just say, more deflated than a popped party balloon. So today we're going to mix a little birthday fun with some essential financial planning, because who says talking about money can't include a little cake? Grab a slice of cake, and if you have an extra piece, give me a piece too so I can enjoy it with you. And let's make sure every birthday counts for your future. Today is an episode of Retirement Rescue Weekly you're going to want to pay attention to as you continue nearing towards retirement and into retirement. Welcome to Retirement Rescue Weekly, where we throw a lifeline to your financial future. This podcast is dedicated to helping rescue retirees from potential dangers that appear in retirement. I'm Kurt Arnold, your host and financial advocate. I'll guide you through the stormy seas of retirement. We'll tackle inflation, taxation, market volatility, and healthcare costs. Together, we'll secure your retirement. Tune in and start your rescue mission today. Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Retirement Rescue Weekly. I am Kurt Arnold, financial host and advocate for this show. And thank you for joining us for another episode. And wow, it's already December. You know, we're talking about the holidays already. My daughter said we had to get our Christmas tree up and our ornaments and everything before the next week because she wanted to be able to start celebrating Christmas. So have you ever had any family members or friends who have a birthday near Christmas? Sometimes it makes them feel like maybe they don't get as much attention, or maybe their birthday gets kind of forgotten a little bit. So it's easy though, as we get older, to kind of, forget about birthdays, or maybe not make a big of a deal because, hey, I don't want to put another number on the board. But it's important that we don't forget about some key ages, because if you forget about them, they can have huge financial implications. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some key ages as we approach retirement and as we're in retirement that we need to be aware of, so that we can understand what we need to be doing planning wise and make sure we don't miss out. So let's take a look at our topic for today. Happy birthday, retirees, what you need to know about those key retirement ages. And we always do want to start with a quote. Eva Gabor: I believe in loyalty. When a woman reaches an age she likes, she should stick with it. And men, let me give you a little tip. That's why there's so many 29-year-old females, because they picked 29 and they're going to stick to it. And they just keep having anniversaries of their 29th birthday. So we'll let them go with that. Now today, again, we're talking about some key birthdays to make sure that we don't forget about. And like I said, I rattle off a bunch of different ages at the very beginning of the show, because there's a lot of different ones that we have to be aware of and understand the implication of each of them. So to get started, let's take a look at the history of birthdays and some of those key ages to think about.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Creed. Happy birthday to you. Yeah! All right.
Birthdays, those special days filled with cake, candles, and sometimes a little existential dread. But have you ever wondered why we even celebrate them? Let's dive into some fun facts about birthdays and why they're not just for kids. First up, did you know that celebrating birthdays goes back thousands of years? Ancient Egyptians were among the first to honor birthdays, and not just for anyone. Pharaohs celebrated the day they were crowned, which they saw as their birth into godhood. Later, the Romans popularized the idea as personal birthday celebrations, complete with parties, cakes, and gifts. Today, people celebrate birthdays in some pretty unique ways around the world. In Mexico, kids love smashing piñatas. In Germany, men turning 30 and still single have to sweep steps while their friends throw dirt on them. Yep, you heard that right. And in South Korea, seaweed soup is the birthday breakfast of champions. These traditions remind us that birthdays can be as creative as we make them. But let's face it, kids love birthdays. It's all about the cake, the gifts, and being the center of attention for the day. They count down the days with the kind of excitement that adults reserve for tax refunds or vacation time. As we age, birthdays become more milestones in different ways. Sure, we might stop looking forward to adding candles to the cake, but we can't forget how important some birthdays are for our financial futures. For example, at age 50, catch-up contributions for retirement accounts begin. Age 62, you're eligible for Social Security, but we'll have to figure out if that's the best time to claim. Age 65, hello, Medicare, don't miss that enrollment window. Age 73, required minimum distributions or RMDs kick in for retirement accounts. These key ages, among many others, are key financial checkpoints. Missing them can be just as big a mistake as skipping your own birthday party. Whether you're smashing piñatas, eating seaweed soup, or just enjoying a slice of cake, birthdays are a chance to celebrate where you've been and where you're going. And remember, every birthday is worth celebrating because it means you're still here, making memories and looking forward to what's next. Well, all right. Hopefully that was fun to learn about the history of birthdays. There's some things that I was doing the research for this show I didn't even realize, going back to some of the old ways they used to celebrate birthdays. Whenever there's piñatas involved in a baseball bat, that's fun. I think that for me is fun, taking a slug at that in my old baseball player days, kind of seeing how much I can knock out right away and get that candy rolling for the other kids. So but why do we celebrate birthdays? It's because it's a way to celebrate growth. It's a way to look at achievements. Sometimes there's different dates as we're younger. 13, we're a teenager. 16, we can drive. 18, we're an adult. 21, some different things with that. So it's different parts of our life that have key elements to those ages, same as it is in retirement. And when it's our birthday, we get to take time to pause, reflect, and then plan for the future. So oftentimes there are some friends of mine that do birthday weeks. So their whole week is their birthday. But it gives you a really good excuse to get together with friends and family and just do life together, which is really important, especially in retirement, to make sure you're making time for social and for those different personal relationships you have as well. So let's look at some of those key ages now. Let's start with age 50. So maybe we're not retired yet, but we're age 50. And what happens age 50? So age 50, we can begin making catch-up contributions, which is our favorite condiment when it comes to retirement. So with catch-up contributions, you can start adding a little bit more to the pot as far as how you're saving. So you can add an extra $1,000 a year into your IRA, an extra $7,500 a year into your 401ks. There's another catch-up period that will come a little later too, but it allows you to start catching up. So if maybe you felt like you got a late start or had some things happen in life, once you get to age 50, the IRS is saying, hey, we're going to let you do a little bit more to catch up now. Age 55. Let's look at age 55. Now, this is an age where sometimes people might be looking at an early retirement, and this is where this comes into play. So at age 55, there's some rules that you can do penalty-free withdrawals from the 401k if you're retired. So it gives you some flexibility if you're an early retiree, because when you first retire, you have to figure out where we get income from, and then of course the health insurance part of it too, because we'll be younger, but where we get income from. And if we don't understand this particular aspect and don't understand some of the rules, and we go to take out money when we need it, what could happen is then we could actually get an early withdrawal penalty if we're taking money from IRAs, 401ks, things like that. So we have to be aware of these rules to make sure that if we do need to get money out, we got to do it when we can, and it's the right way to do it as well. Let's look at 59 and a half. Now, why half? Good question. But 59 and a half, and make sure you know what that half is for you, because there are some people are literally counting the days down to get to that half. So at 59 and a half, we can now access those retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, things like that, without a penalty. So if you are retiring early and you need some access to funds, you can do so. So it gives us some flexibility if we need to access those funds. Now be careful, because if we retire too early, we don't want to overstress the portfolio, or if we're, doing things that are going to, taking it out at the wrong time or just, whatever, that we still have some risk there. But early withdrawals before 59.5 have a 10% penalty. Once you hit 59.5, we no longer have that early withdrawal penalty. Let's look at age 60. So age 60, you see we have a widow here. So with age 60, you can then begin to start claiming a widower's Social Security benefit. Now, I actually met somebody at a seminar I was teaching at a couple months ago. She was 64, and she did not know she was entitled to a widower's benefit. So she missed out on 4 years of potential benefit. She didn't know. She's like, I had no idea. So we want to make sure, because sometimes where there's a big issue is there's some missed optimization. So whether we're taking the widower's benefit or we're taking our benefit, remember, if one passes, we get to keep the bigger of the two, if they were alive. In this case, sometimes what you might do is you might take the widower's benefit and then delay yours until age 70 to really maximize that, or the flip-flop, depending on what makes the most sense. But again, we do want to make sure that we understand how this works. Now, if you do start it early and you're still working, we have to be aware that there could be some income restrictions, but we still might need the income. So we might want to still do it anyway. So we have to figure out what makes the most sense. If we don't take this benefit and we're retired, or maybe we need some more money because we have to replace lost income because our spouse passed, now we might be drawing from assets, and it could cause a really big strain on the assets early, which might be hard to recover from. So we got to be really, cognizant of this. Let's look at age 62. Age 62 is the first age where you can technically apply for Social Security if you want to. It's your earliest benefit. If you do, it's a haircut then. You get 25% less than your full retirement benefit. It's 75% of your benefits, and you're locked in for life. They changed some of the rules now where you can't do some of the different things. So if you put it in early, it is what it is. Now, I always tell people you don't have to turn it on until you need to turn it on. So just because you're retired doesn't mean you have to turn it on. So just make sure you understand that. And again, claiming too early could really put you in a corner, because we're trying to build a retirement paycheck. Social Security is not going to grow with inflation. So we have to be aware how much this is going to actually be, and will it be enough for us in the long term. So we have to understand some claiming strategies. Let's look at age 65. Now, age 65, I have family members that will tell me, like, when it's their birthday, how old they are. And my financial planner brain immediately goes, 65, okay, that's what this is. 70 is this, which is what this show is all about, because this is what my brain does when I hear these ages. 65 is when we can enroll in Medicare. So there's a 7-month window, 3 months before your month of birthday, the month of your birthday, and then 3 months after is what they consider that Medicare enrollment period. So you got to make sure you're aware of that. And then if you don't enroll during that time, you will have a late enrollment penalty for life, and you can't get rid of it. There's no excuse. They won't let you get rid of it. Now, if you're still working or you're covered by a spouse insurance plan, you can use that as suitable coverage. And then what will happen is when you go to apply for Medicare, you're going to need to explain why you didn't enroll originally at age 65. So you're going to have a form filled out that will be completed by the HR to say that you were covered by that plan. So you shouldn't have a late enrollment penalty. So make sure you're aware of that. And if you ever want to know what that form is, reach out and we'll tell you more about it, because I've done it a few times. I have met a couple people too that just didn't enroll on time. One was a mistake they made, and one was just they didn't know any better. And it's what it is. They're penalized for life. So you got to make sure you're aware of that. Age 66, 67. The reason why that's a range is because it depends on your birthday. This is your full retirement age for Social Security. This is when your benefit is 100%. This is when you're considered retired by Social Security. At this point in time now, this is a number you always see on your Social Security statements and all that stuff too. And if you're still working, there's no penalty for having too much income. So once you're at 66 or 67, whatever that age is for you, you can, that's considered your full retirement benefit. It's the key age too when you're looking at spousal and ex-spousal type benefits too, to understand your FRA, because we got to make sure that you don't take a haircut on those benefits as well. Let's look at 70 and a half. Now, and age 70, by the way, is the max benefit, which I didn't show, but age 70 is where if you wait, that's the latest you can actually take Social Security, and that's the maximum amount. Age 70 and a half used to be the RMD age, not anymore. 70 and a half now is when you can begin doing qualified charitable donations. So sometimes people have in their heartstrings to help charities, churches, things like that. Myself, my family, we give to our church. We help a lot of different nonprofits. And when you're younger, you're probably just writing out of the checkbook or from your online account. But when you get into your retirement age, now there's some tax benefits if you do things a little bit differently. So instead of writing that check every week at your church and drop it in the hat or whatever format there is these days, you can actually do qualified charitable donations, and that will actually help you still give to your organization, but it lowers your tax bill in the same way, which is really important because we're trying to lower taxes as much as we can and use these different rules to do so. If we don't do it, we'll end up paying higher taxes, have higher income, and it's inefficient giving. So I have some people they give their church every week, and it's because it's a habit. They want to make sure they're doing it. But there could be some more benefit if you do it all at once for the year or at the end of the year, because then you could donate that charitable donation, get the tax write-off, and then they actually can give more to the organization then by doing it that way. It's a little bit different way to do it, but again, you can actually have more benefit if you do it that way. 73. So now Secure Act 2.0, if you ask a lot of people when they're RMD age, they're going to say, oh, it's 70 and a half. Well, it used to be 70 and a half, and then it got pushed back to 72, and now it's 73. And for some people, it might even be age 75, depending on how old they are. But 73 is the age for most retirees or near retirees right now we have to be aware of. So any accounts that we have that are tax deferred, remember in our tax buckets, these are the accounts that have not been taxed yet. So we're talking about IRAs, 401ks, 457s, 403bs, simple IRAs, SEP IRAs, all those different alphabet soup type things. The money that we put in that lowered our taxable income when we put it in, and then we kick the can down the road. We haven't been taxed on that yet, but we have to start taking money out, even if we don't need to, at age 73. If we miss this and we don't do this, there are some large penalties. The IRS doesn't play with this because they want their tax money. So it's a big income generator for the country, as you can imagine. So they don't play. They want to make sure you do this. So I always tell people, I help you calculate your RMD and make sure it gets done, but I still want you to understand how the RMD works because ultimately you're still responsible for it. I had a guy I met with earlier this week. He actually had about 5 different IRAs, a 401k. And so I told him, I said, based on that, what you have to understand is you will have one RMD that's due for the IRAs, which you have to figure out where you're going to take it from those IRAs, as long as it gets to the total amount that's due. You're also going to have an RMD for the 401k as well, because even though they're both tax deferred, they're different registrations, and they're going to have RMDs on them. And then his wife has an IRA that she'll also have to do an RMDs for as well. So we have to be aware of that. And again, late RMDs have significant penalties, so we don't want to do that. So let's look at some tips for stress-free aging. So stay proactive, know these key dates, and make sure that you're thinking about them and planning ahead for them. Don't just get to them and go, oh, now what do we do? Make sure that we know, okay, we're approaching this next milestone. What do we have to do? What do we have to plan for? When it's your birthday, celebrate it. Have some fun, enjoy life. That's what all this is about, is getting to a point where we don't have to work anymore so we can enjoy it. And so make sure that we're taking time to enjoy life with family and friends and coworkers and enjoying that. And then focus on the positive. Each birthday is a gift. We don't know, we're not guaranteed what tomorrow's going to bring. So enjoy it while we can. Make sure that we, take time to slow down and just, enjoy life. And then make sure that we're just aware of these things, because, life gets busy. And if we forget about one of these things, we're gonna be like, oops, what does that mean now? And we don't want to make a big mistake. So today we're going to talk about some birthdays. I was going to wear a birthday hat and have a, noisemaker and everything, but I thought, well, that's kind of cheesy, but I wanted you to see how important it is to keep track of these birthdays. Now, I know we don't want to be thinking about some of these big numbers as we approach them, but we got to be aware of them and we got to plan for them. So hopefully some of this helped you with the video and with the follow-up we did afterwards. But we also have some more help for you. As we always do, we always want to have some more for you to keep learning. And we have a resource for you, Retirement Milestones Checklist. It's a free guide that will help you about with these different key birthdays that you need to be aware of, what you have to know and what you have to actually do to prepare for them. And we're going to have a link in the show notes right now for you to take advantage of that offer. Again, it's free. take a download of that. Make sure you're aware of these key birthdays so you don't miss out on some key things that could be a huge impact on you and your retirement. With that being said, thanks again for the opportunity to come into your living room or phone or whatever device that you're watching us on today. It is a pleasure to be able to teach you. Have a great week. Again, we're live every Thursday, 11 a.m. on the East Coast, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. Until then, we'll see you again next Thursday on Retirement Rescue Weekly.